Alrighty, welcome you guys. This is Space Cadettes. I am Bean, joined by Jenna and Shanice. We are all co-workers at the awesome comic shop Space Cadettes Collection. And we hang out and we talked at work a lot, and then somebody said, why don't you record it while you guys all sit and BS and talk about dumb comic book stuff? And here we are. All right. And today, I think we've all had a pretty crazy week this week. So we're just going to chill out and we're going to talk about what our video games, favorite comics of the year, all sorts of random stuff today. So today's the mixed bag. I was gonna ask because I know the answer for Jenna, but I don't know the answer for Shanice. So, like, Shanice, have you like backed any like comic projects on Kickstarter?
I have not.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that, like, I always tell myself, well, like, if there are comic books that I want to read and I know I don't see on the stands, surely there is somebody out there who is putting it out, or who wants to put it out, but I gotta put money towards it. But I've never actually really searched for comics on Kickstarter. But
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I just found my first one, and it was not just like random. It was my favorite comic of the year. Like, and I was looking up that writer because I was gonna try and get else on the experience, like to be able to do an interview, you know. And he had a new Kickstarter for his new book that he's about to use. So I was like, oh, this is somebody I already know. I love their work. Mm-hmm. And now I get to give them money and they give me comics directly. I love this. I'm so happy.
So I have two right here. Tell me if you want the pretty one or the horror one first.
You know what I want.
Okay.
Yep.
So the horror one I got is the Deluxe Omnibus Hack/Kickstarter.
Ooh.
Nice.
Hardcover. And they were signed, and it came with a coloring book. And it came with like bookmarks, and I think it came with like a metal plate for it. So this is like the big chunky boy that you could only get this one through Kickstarter.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
My other favorite one that we did this year is called Brindle.
Oh.
This is such a beautiful story. So the only way that they could get this comic to stateside was through Kickstarter. And it's just like absolutely stunning, gorgeous. It came signed. It came with a book plate. It came with, they did custom art plates for everybody that they signed.
That's amazing.
They also did art prints that they signed. So yeah, I love doing, this is like hardcover. There was another one.
He thinks someone knocked on the door, doesn't he?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, okay. Are you a good boy? You're a best boy. No. Okay. So the other one that I really liked doing, I don't have it on hand with me, but it came with masks and stuff too. But it's called Gaslighters.
Oh, I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's issue 3 is up for Kickstarter right now, and we backed 1 and 2, and we got art prints, we got stickers, you got a chibi version of the main character from Gaslighters. We got 2 masks where it's like the big masks. Oh, is it right here? It is not right here. I'm sorry. I lied. It's right here. So they gave us like giant art prints. And I'm going to show you guys my favorite.
Whoa. A butt.
maybe this one might not be the best one for TV. So let me show another one.
Here, we'll just blur it. We'll blur the whole thing so it seems even worse than it is.
Like a little peach emoji.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Is that better?
That's cool.
Is that one
That is
better?
awesome.
All of them are pretty spicy. So like, oh, here we go.
Oh.
Zombies eat fresh. That's the shirt she's wearing. I don't know if any of these are appropriate for TV. This one has no shirt on. This one shows her panties. Is that okay? I don't know. Like
I said, we can always just blur it. I think that's probably the most appropriate one you've shown.
here, oh no! I found a mostly appropriate one.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
So she's basically like a zombie Harley Quinn during an apocalypse. And they so they sent we get stickers, you get art prints, you get signed stuff. There was one for curse words, I think a couple years ago, like a year or two ago, where if you did the $10,000 Kickstarter, they brought you a van. Like they drove across the country in a like van and painted on the side of the van curse words, like the stuff for curse words, because it was the artist and the writer for it. So I love doing Kickstarters because you get to see like things that you will never see in the store. Because at Miss Jen's store, Space Cadettes, she loves backing these Kickstarters to get a lot of the books. So that way they can keep making books. But when you do like the individual ones that aren't the retailer levels, then you get to pick what covers you want. You get to pick which mask or what keychains or what stickers or what pins or art prints. Like, yeah. And then 99% of the time when you back somebody's Kickstarter, they like are so thankful. They just want to be your friend. And we've actually stayed friends with quite a few of them. That's how I think we made friends with Garrett Gunn, because we've backed a couple of his Kickstarters. And he's just like, thank you guys so much. And we're just like, we can't wait for you to be here. And he's like, yeah. And we're like, we're going to take you to burgers. And he's like, oh my God, let's be friends. And I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
I love, what do they call them? The tier, not the tiers, the rewards, the unlockable rewards.
Mm-hmm.
I love helping creators reach that. Nicole, who works in our warehouse, had a Kickstarter a little while back where it was Pokemon with knives.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Rattata with a knife in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it came with a sticker and it came with a pin. And my sticker happened to be missing. So I was like, hey, Nicole, who do I call for this? And she's like, oh, I got you. It's right here. Thank you. And it's like, it's so cool just to see creators who don't have another way to use an outlet or don't have a way to go to a publisher kickstart.
Nice.
Yes. Hold on, let me put this up.
Yeah, I'm excited. The one, because it's the author of Dirtbag Rapture, Christopher Cebolo, and his new book is going to be called Foul Brood, and it's going to be about crime and beekeeping.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
The cover of like that he's been using is like a gun, but it's like in like the honeycomb.
That's so cool.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. When I get number 1 and number 2 in, because it reached its goal like really fast.
Dope.
So I'm gonna bring it into the store and show it off and be like,
look what I got.
Books.
Look at my books.
Yes. Oh man.
We started talking about Kickstarter. That's my bread and butter. That's our bread and butter on our channel.
Yeah.
And we have so much. Like I literally have a pantry full of stickers from different Kickstarters.
And Kickstarter is insane too. Just seeing like how much money like creators create, like they can raise. So I don't really follow the podcast. But a lot of my friends do. But that show Critical Role. When I saw how much money they raised within like the first 30 minutes, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's really cool. They were able to fund it so fast and then some. But seeing like the different rewards tiers that printers can get, it's really cool. Like prints, buttons. I know some other podcasts some other podcasts I follow, they get like a personalized message. Like it's cool, like to see creators give back because Jenna said, it's like whose side? Like it's like you can start to like befriend some creators, and it's really cool to see. Because I mean, I don't think we could have said that like I don't know 10 years ago that this was capable, or maybe it exists, but not as prevalent as it is now.
Yeah, I think it existed, but it was for like really, really small things. But since the great migration of like bigger companies and smaller companies are popping up more, people have taken to Kickstarter because they want more diversity. And you can usually find that stretch goals. That's what they're called. Thank you. They want to see like other creators instead of just like the same thing over and over again that you see in like Marvel and DC and yeah. And it's really cool that, you know, seeing how much this has changed because through Kickstarter, Source Point Press, Scout, Image, and I think there's another company, I can't remember who, have actually picked up books so that way they can keep going. And that's so cool. And it's pushed Marvel and it's pushed DC to have more stories, more different types of
yeah.
Like, it's really hard for me to describe. We have something in the store. It's in the kids section. It's called Love. It's a series called Love. That actually started on Kickstarter. There are no words in these books. It's just pictures. Like there's one called Love the Mastiff, and it's about a dog who is saving other animals because a snake comes in. It's a lot more deeper than what I'm explaining to it, but that was something that started on Kickstarter, and it's actually a series now. I think there's 4 or 5 different storylines to go with it, and that started on Kickstarter, just to see if anybody was even interested in a comic that was beautiful art but no words.
Yeah.
And I think it got picked up by somebody. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry, guys.
I want to say it's the Lion Forge, I believe, because I always see that logo. Because I always like flip through Love because it's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Matt is the other company who picks up a lot of people from Kickstarters. That's who it is. Sorry. Nice. But yeah, the industry has changed. The industry is definitely changed. And I think it's by things like Kickstarter or GoFundMe or Indiegogo or any other crowdfunding, right? Yeah, crowdfunding. Mm-hmm. I really do think that's changed to give us some more, not just like expanded, but what's the word I'm thinking of? Where it's like there's more
diversity.
Thank you. That's the word.
Yeah.
Of just everythingness, and now there's literally a comic for anybody and everybody.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, but it made me think like, so I've never really talked to creators. And like I've said before, like for many years, I love comics, just no thoughts in my brain, walking in, this looks good, buy it, go home, read it. Did not think about like the creators at all. Not like to be mean or anything, but just like, you know, like I just didn't think about them. And then like since I've been working at Space Cadettes, like I'm starting like actually meet people and like actually meet creators and everything. And I'm so nervous. Like, do you guys get nervous like meeting creators? Like I can't even imagine. I was talking about like trying to arrange an interview with like one of my favorite writers now. And I'm like, I'm going to cry. I'm so nervous. Like,
okay. Shanice, you want to go first?
So when I met, through the store, because it's cool working in a comic book store, because you get to meet or have access to people that you only read about. But now it's like, oh, hey, I get to finally meet you in person. It's a little tricky because it's like, oh, you're really famous, and you're like a really, you know, you're like I guess a big time writer and artist, but they're super chill, super nice, which is it still trips me up a little bit because you're like, you wrote one of my favorite stories, but now we're talking about favorite beers or whatever. Like it's just really it's great. I love it. Yeah, it's something I still have to get used to. What about you, Jenna?
Mine's a two-parter. So how do I start this? So I made Jim Lee sad the first time I met him.
Oh yeah, this story. Yeah.
So I don't remember. Shanice, were you there?
I was at a wrestling thing. I didn't get to go to
the it was Batman Day. A few years back, it was right after Hurricane Harvey. And our store, I wasn't working there at the time. Justice League Day, that's what it was. It was Justice League Day, I'm sorry. I wasn't working at the store yet, but me and my husband had been going there weekly for like, I think 2 or 3 years at this point. Anyways, everybody knew us. Like Miss Jen knew us and like Hannah had known us. And I come in, we were like 3rd or 4th in line. And he sits down and he was sitting next to Dan Didio. And, you know, we come up, we're getting our stuff signed. I was like, dude, I love you. You were my first book ever. You know, you saved my life. And, you know, I found it in a dumpster and I loved it. And then Dan Didio goes like, hey, she found your comic in the trash. And I was like, no,
oh, man.
No, like, no. And then somebody was like, okay, you need to go. And I was like, no, let me explain. And like his face just went. Like,
oh no.
And I was like, no. I'm so sorry. And it was funny. So my husband and I were standing in line and he comes by talking. He's like, hi, how are you guys doing? Hi. And Jay is just like, person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, we're having a good night. Thanks. And then I've been doing these interviews. I did it for Pride, and I've done it for our 6-month anniversary. And I've got to actually talk to a lot of people that I've been reading. Like Steve Orlando, I had to not like. I spent the first 5 minutes, and I was like, look, I did a really deep dive on you, and I realized you've been writing all of the books that I read all this year. Also, so in college you studied Russian literature, and he was like, wow, deep dive. And it just depends on the person, you know, like I think 99.999% of the time they're super chill and super laid back. We had right before the pandemic hit, we had, was it Tom Hutchinson? It was either Tom Hutchinson or Dirk Manning. I can't remember because they were both at the store within like 2 weeks of each other. Mm-hmm. But it was just me in the store. Miss Jen had to go pick something up. And so it was like kind of late. It was like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I was finished, about to close up. And we spent an hour talking about pizza. And I was like, dude, I own like all of your stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like grilled chicken and pepperoni and hot sauce. I just like I said, I have to sit back in my brain and have to remember, like, yeah, they're just regular people. They just happen to be great at all the stuff that I love.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the only creator I've ever met, which was not a comic creator, although I mean it's actually interesting, is like it's the author Neil Stevenson. And actually, yeah, and so I went to Austin and I went to a book signing from him, but like I went to get my book signed and he was just like, oh, hey, how are you today? And I basically did what Jay did when he was like in line at Ghibli, just, I'm fine. And he looked a little scared, but he still signed my book for me, so.
They say it, and it's true, that everything is getting faster, you're not getting any younger, and time is the single resource that you can never get back or get any more of. So why walk into your local comic shop blind when you can go in laser focused on the best books on the shelf?
Hi everybody, and welcome to Minute to Skim It. Yeah!
Spend 1 hour with Miss Jen and Bean, and they'll give you rapid-fire reviews of all the new comics hitting stores. Spend less time shopping and more time reading.
This is Provenance of Secrets.
This is The Heathens. I read Wolverine number 17.
Minute to Skim It, every Tuesday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
And we're back, guys. We had a good conversation about Denny's, meeting people at Denny's, and Neil Stevenson, which is great.
Yes.
And yeah.
And I have discovered he has written one graphic novel, which is called Cimarronin.
Oh, I have seen that one.
Yeah, have you read that one? Okay.
I haven't read it. I've seen it.
Yeah. And so that's the only one, but I was referencing because his really early book, which is, I don't even know, I think it's one of the first ones, Snow Crash, was supposed to be a graphic novel. Like, he literally wrote it, was like hooked up with an artist, and things just like didn't work out. So he rewrote it as a novel. Okay. And like, I know, did you ever read that one, Snow Crash?
Snow Crash, yeah. It's one of my all-time favorite sci-fi novels.
Tell me more.
It's great. Like, it's great because this book came out in the early 90s, 91, 92. And it's scary how the things you talk about in this book has come to fruition. It's like the whole meta thing with Facebook. He's like, man, he was talking about this like almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
He's okay.
It's literally from that novel is where we get some of the everyday vocabulary we use for video games. It's where the term avatar, like, for your character came from. Like, it was a very early influence on all of that. And it was supposed to be a graphic novel. And I don't know why they've never made it a graphic novel, because it would be absolutely killer as like a comic series, a graphic novel. Like,
somebody hook them up and put them on Kickstarter. I'll back them.
That's like, I'll throw my money at it. Like, it's like being said, it's surprising that it's never happened yet.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I think my favorite part from that book is the skateboard technology craziness, because like there's this one of the main characters, and she is like a courier, but she has like this crazy skateboard where the wheels can adapt perfectly to whatever surface it's going over, so she literally can just like drive over anything. And then she has like basically a grappling hook, but it's got a giant magnet, so she just like goes down the freaking highway like latching onto cars and like skateboarding, and it gets crazy. I would love to see that. Like,
I want that to be a ride at like Universal or something now.
Oh no, it would be so dangerous.
I think I might go to Disney if they had a ride like that.
Yeah.
And the main character has one of the best names I've read in a book. His name is literally Hero Protagonist.
Yes.
Hero. So it's spelled Hiro.
Okay.
And protagonist. And it's like, this is great. You already know what kind of book you're going to get
I see
into.
what you did there.
Read it. Yeah, read
I saw
it.
what you did there.
And the bad guy who has a freaking implant in his brain, and he drives around on a motorcycle that has a sidecar, and the sidecar is a nuclear bomb. And if he dies, then the implant in his brain sets off the nuclear bomb. This book is wild.
It's great. You have to read it.
Does somebody have it?
Yeah, I got it.
I need to borrow it.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you borrow one of these books. We'll make a trade.
Exchange. I know. It needs to be like coming soon from 2020 or like in 2022 from Image Comics because it already sounds like it. Like
It does. Like if Image doesn't do it, then I need to see it from like maybe IDW
or Aftershock.
or
maybe.
well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it like got a lot of horror to it? Lots of people die.
But people die.
Yeah.
Some great ways.
I'm trying to remember if there's any mass casualties. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm remembering parts of it that I'm like, yeah.
So somebody just ship this book to Miss Jen or tell Miss Jen like, hey, give this to Joe Pruitt because he was at our store before too. Next time he comes in, I'm gonna have to text you guys. Hey, bring the book. Bring it now.
It's like adapt this book.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I sold a comic book over that came out this week because I compared it to John Scalzi, who's like one of my favorite writers. It's a sci-fi writer, and it was really good. It really was one. It came out from the CEX. I've got to look up the name of it real quick because I don't remember the name of the comic. It was called Space Corps.
Oh, okay.
Space Corps. They came out. They remind me a lot of John Scalzi, and it was super good. But it's not actually from him.
Oh,
But good.
Are you sure? Is it not like a secret name?
What? Oh no. I don't think he's written it. If he's ever written one, I need to find it. But as we clearly know, I don't always pay attention even now because I didn't realize that Danny DeVito wrote the Penguin story.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Did you guys read that?
I have it.
It's interesting. I read it, and then like when I found out who wrote it, I was like, this makes sense.
Well, I mean, he was the Penguin, so I guess he would be the best person to be in the mindset as the Penguin.
Yeah, it's
like that makes sense, right?
And I mean this in the best way. So, because the whole thing is about the Penguin hooking up with Catwoman and them being in a loving relationship. So it reads like a fan fiction. Like those two characters are being shipped.
We all know who Catwoman belongs to, yes.
Yes.
Or belongs to. Not belongs to, because nobody's owned, but like
lots of money.
She belongs to herself.
With lots of money.
But what?
With lots of money in jewels.
Yes.
In a penthouse.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, y'all. So what are y'all's favorite comics that were adapted from video games? Or what's your favorite video game adapted from a comic?
I'll go first, because everybody knows mine.
Mm-hmm.
Gears of War. Like, it's such an expanded universe outside of the games. Like, there's all the books, there's all the comics, and then there's even more comics for what happens after the comics. And I really like how they explored a lot more of everybody's backgrounds in it. Because I think there's only 3 main trades for the main storyline when the first games were out, and then there's one called Hive Busters, which is based off of a sideline thing that happened in Gears 5. Mm-hmm. But just getting more in depth in the stories. So everybody knows mine. Gears of War. It's pretty easy. You can kind of. So it was done by Wildstorm, which is owned by DC, and then DC for the first like 3 trades, and then after that, IDW Publishing took it over. And IDW has been like killing it when it comes to like video game and TV show comics, like making it a little bit darker, making it a little more intriguing. But yeah. What about you guys?
Mine's really short because I haven't read that many of them. And there is one series that I really want to read that I haven't gotten a chance to, which is from Titan. It's the Life is Strange comics.
Oh yes.
I don't know if either of you guys have ever picked those up. I really wanted to. I just haven't had the chance to pick those up yet. But I enjoy that. I enjoyed the first game. I haven't played the second one. And I played the new one they put out. But I think the only other comic I've really read from a video game is the Cyberpunk 2077 comic tie-in that came out, which I felt that one, it was really good. And it was also like it's very easy because there's so many stories in that game that it was very natural for them to put out a comic because you could just make a million stories in that world, you know. So that's the only one I've really read. And it was really good.
So I guess for mine, I'm going to do the opposite. Favorite video game based off of a comic. It's The Wolf Among Us. It's from Telltale.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
from Fables. And I love it because it's a fun little noir. The soundtrack, it's like a cliche, but if you use like synthwave, no matter in a show, film, game, it's 10 out of 10 already. The plot line could be a little garbage, but if you have that as a soundtrack, I'm all in. And it's really great. And the way it ended, I was like, I hope there's a sequel, and thankfully we're getting one, hopefully soon.
Nice.
Only take a few years.
Mm-hmm. You know, take as long as they need as need be. But it was such a great game. Like when it was announced, I was like, how are you going to do this, especially for Fables? But oh man, it's fantastic.
I think I said the same thing about the Walking Dead one, because like I was reading the comics and then they did The Walking Dead, and I was like, how are they not gonna make a survivalist type Walking Dead video game, you know? And then they did the one that they did, and I was like, okay, I really like this.
And I think aren't both of those like they took the world the stories in and then made sort of like new, like its own story instead of trying to follow the comic, which I think is like a very good method when you're switching drastically mediums, you know. So.
I don't know, with the Telltale games, it kind of comes off almost like a comic.
Especially like the style of it, which makes it more like kind of like I guess now I'm thinking about it, more of like a no thing. It's like, oh yeah, well, it's easier to transition from a comic to a Telltale style game because of how it's animated, how it's really story narrative heavy and not so much action, and it works.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead is one of few video games that made me just sob at the end. First playing it.
Yes.
It's great, but man, it just broke my heart.
I will still go back and play it and still continue crying. Every time. It's like certain movies. It's like, I'm not going to cry this time. Why am I crying? Every time. Every bloody time.
You know, I think, and I've been thinking about this recently, it's a little bit of like a departure from like video games and stuff, but I was just thinking about like, so when I'm watching a movie and when I'm reading a book, I feel like I have more of an emotional connection. And even like in video games when I'm watching like cutscenes and stuff, but like comics, I think part of why I like them is because like I don't have as emotional of a connection. Like I get connected to them, but I don't think I've ever cried while reading a comic.
Oh.
But I think it's because when I open the next page, like I have a minute where I'm just like looking at everything and then I start reading it. Which I know is probably partly because I'm like kind of dyslexic and stuff. So I just kind of absorb everything. and then I read through it. And so I don't know if that kind of like gives me some distance from the story with comics. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Like, I still really enjoy them, but I don't like, I realized it the day that me and Miss Jen read the same book, and she was like sobbing at one part of it. And I was like, it was sad, but I didn't cry like that at it. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, hello there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome everybody to Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Copeland. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mush Mosh.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Gang Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadettes.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody, welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
So I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
I actually read something like a week or two ago, and I was reading on my tablet because I have a little trouble right now with my eyes with seeing on paper. So I have a really big tablet. I can open up the brightness a little more for me to be able to see the contrast of it. So I get it one page at a time. So I don't get to see a whole like spread. I see the one page. When I tap the screen, it shows me the next page, and then I blow it up so I can see it panel for panel. So maybe that's why I'm a little more, I don't know, I'm not sure. But it was about this girl who just found out she had a disease and she had less than a year to live. And her parents had said something along the lines of like, well, you're just the middle child. We've got 4 more. And she just was like, okay, whatever. I've let you guys do whatever my whole life, so I'm going to leave. And she leaves, and the journey she goes on just made me like, I was sobbing. Like my husband looked at me and he's like, oh my God, what happened? Did you hurt yourself? And I'm like, so beautiful. The art is so good. Oh, she just wanted to live her life. She just wanted love. But yeah, so I sob because, like I said, when it comes to comics, for me, it's a little harder. I need bigger things, and you can only hold comics so close. Right now, I'm getting better though. Yay! So like when I'm reading on my tablet and I get it one panel at a time, I get the whole panel.
Yeah,
and it's just one little part. Like everybody sees a full page, I see one panel at a time. And oh yeah, I saw because I don't see what's coming. I didn't see that coming.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
What about you, Shanice, while Jenna recovers?
I mean, yeah, there are definitely some comics that like made me like just. I mean, it doesn't happen often. But it does happen. When it does happen, it hits me hard.
Yeah.
Like the ending of Wild Last Man. Like I remember reading it when I was in high school, and it's almost worse because it's gonna happen on the next page, or like I don't want to see it. I don't want to turn that page. I know what's gonna happen, and I don't want to spoil the ending because I know it's a fairly old book now, but oh my gosh, dude! Like 15-year-old me, she was distressed. I had to put the book down. I was like angrily stomping around my room like this sucks, and I'm crying, and I'm trying not to cry loud enough because I don't want my parents to be like, "Oh my God, what's happening to our child?" But that, and there's a Spider-Man story that just even when I think about it, I think you know which one I'm talking about. Oh no, Spider-Man. It's the one. It's a short story. It's about a girl named Leah.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Okay, and I won't go too much into it because I don't want. It's so upsetting. It's really good. It's a short. I'm sorry, Jenna.
Because there's another one that it reminded me of that made me sob. So did anybody see the first it was one trade short story Spider-Man. So Miles Morales Spider-Man ends up in Peter Parker Spider-Man's universe in it one where Peter Parker ends up in Miles Morales' universe in a universe where Peter Parker died. And he doesn't know this. And he sees Miles, and they go to see Aunt May and Mary Jane. In this universe, Peter Parker's dead. So they see each other. Yeah. And the way that was written was so just like, that'll be next in your line after the other one.
Can you guys send me these and then maybe I can feel something?
Yeah.
It'll be an experiment.
I got you.
Yeah, I'll see the link to mine. It's just
I have it here.
Comics.
But you've already got your list.
Yeah.
I'll add it to your list.
I did cry a lot when I watched Avengers Endgame, which I finally watched 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was not okay. I was angrily texting Jenna. I was like, why did no one spoil this for me? I was unprepared.
I was surprised it wasn't spoiled for you because so many people were posting spoilers about it. And I was like, really?
A lot of memes made more sense.
Yeah.
But the thing that hurt me the most, I had no preparation.
Which one?
My favorite character of all time is Iron Man.
Yes.
I was not okay. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to spoil it for anybody else, because I think I might have been the only person not to have seen it. But at the lake, and then they have the flowers, and then the little heart, and they put it in the lake.
Yeah.
I lost it. I was crying harder. I don't cry hard very often, but I was crying a lot. It's not good.
Oh my gosh. So how did you like the in Infinity War when Spider-Man's like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark?
So I knew that was coming.
Goes down.
Yeah, I was sad, but I had been prepared for that. I was prepared because I had seen memes about that. So the memes helped me.
So did you know that he could feel himself fading before it ever happened because of his spidey senses?
No, I didn't know that.
So it was more painful and a longer drawn out death for him. Or snapping. That's what makes it worse. His spidey senses tingled the minute Thanos snapped. And while everybody else was just slowly dusting away, he felt it already happening because of his senses. And then it started happening.
I don't like that.
Yeah. That's why he was like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. And then he falls into a hug. He didn't start fading. He felt it and then started fading.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, that was crazy. But then they're all I don't know. But also because in the comics, Tony Stark dies. That's established and then is a hologram AI guy for a lot of the time. So I was kind of ready for it in that sense. And I think that's the thing about comics too, is maybe because I'm never on the cutting edge. I always know things are coming because they put it on the cover and stuff. It tells you.
Yeah.
Gives you a little little like hint.
And then when it actually happens, you're still just like, no.
One that did make me sad recently was I read the first one of The Death of Doctor Strange, and that's a sad comic. That one is sad.
Yeah.
So 0 out of 10, don't recommend. Made me have emotions. No, just kidding. It was very good, but it was sad. Like, I felt sad reading it, so.
What to you guys is so let's talk about the movies, like Marvel and DC movies, all right? What is one moment across any of those movies that got you? Like what Bean was saying when for Iron Man, she was just like, oh, was that like your top like moment in all the movies?
Let me think. So another thing, but I have a very specific thing that gets like when I'm like, oh, that gets me, like it's usually not sadness. A lot of times I have moments, which is why I've said that when they make a Miss Marvel movie, I'm going to cry during that movie. But the thing is, like, when I see like women and girls like really succeeding, like I cry. Like I guess that just like really like gets
Tears
me.
of joy, like you're excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just get like overwhelmed by like emotion. So I'm trying to think, because I know there have been moments like I think that even like in like I think it was in Infinity War. I can't remember if it's Infinity War or Endgame, where like they have, it might be in both, where they have like all the female characters, like it doesn't make any sense, but they all are together for some reason on the battlefield.
Oh, yes,
and then they have the epic, like they're all
Endgame where yes.
Yeah, it
That
was
was
Endgame
where like
because,
Peter had the glove and they were like, we got you.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like where I feel like I'll start like tearing up at moments like that too, of like, oh my goodness, like they're doing it.
What about you, Shanice?
I've got a few, but the one that I always go back to because the use of a certain song in the scene, every time I hear it, it just makes me flash back to that scene. But it was in X-Men Days of Future Past. When the timeline was fixed and you see all the OG characters come back at the very end, they're all alive, and it just made me so happy. And I really do wish that was the final X-Men film. I wish that and Logan just should have been the end of it for the X-Men films, because it would have been a high end to these movies. Mm-hmm. It would have been in the movies on a high note. But every time I hear the first time I saw your face, I always just think of that scene. It just makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Because you see these characters like just dying in certain parts of the movie. And with the timeline being fixed, you're like, they fixed it. They're alive. They're in one universe until Logan happens and they're all dead again. But
that's much later.
Yeah.
They had years of happiness together, right?
Right. And then like a Logan, it makes me cry at the end. At the gravesite, like to me, that's like that's my Tony part, because like growing up seeing Hugh Jackman like for years, for almost oh my gosh, like 20 years. That I was like, okay, I know it's gonna be good. I know I'm gonna love it. But when I finally watched it, I'm like, oh my god, it's still good.
Yeah.
And Amazing Spider-Man 2. What happens to Gwen? I know.
You stole my moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll let you do. I'll let you do.
Throw the moment up to Jenna.
I'm throwing it to Jenna.
No. You can talk about that one. I have another one. So you can talk about that.
I'm sorry. Like it's gonna happen because it's like
because it happened in the comics too. And you're just like,
yep. And she had the outfit on. I'm like, it's gonna happen.
No.
And then that sound. Yeah. I was like, no.
Actually, as soon as they introduced Gwen Stacy, I was like, I know what y'all gonna do, because they didn't do it in the Tobey Maguire movies, because she shows up for like a minute in
It was Spider-Man 3 for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I love all Spider-Man movies, but that one we don't talk about. But yeah, so she only showed up for like a couple minutes, and so they didn't really do her character justice in the original trilogy. And then when Amazing Spider-Man, and I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Then they did it.
I'm okay now.
Oh, I thought of another moment also at the end of Endgame, and it's where Steve Rogers.
Oh.
And then he's like sitting there, and then it's like the perfect way for them to transition to have what is his name, Sam Wilson, become Captain America. But it's so, oh my god, like
that scene was really well written.
Yeah,
and acted perfectly. So my moment is from a DC movie, and it's have you guys seen all the DC movies?
No.
Oh.
Is it the Martha moment? I know about that one.
No. Okay, so Superman's dead.
That's all I've seen.
And he's lowered. So they have this big thing, right? And everybody in the city is like, "Oh, Superman, he's dead. He saved us." Blah blah blah. And then you get his home on his home farm.
Oh.
And it's his mom, his fiance, and Bruce. And they lower him into the ground. And that moment with his mom and Lois is just like every time.
He did?
He dead. Like,
got impaled.
She lost her husband and she lost her son within like a 10-year span. And you just see the devastation on her face. I wish I could remember the name of the actress. She's super famous. I can't believe I'm blanking at her name.
Diane Lane.
Thank you. But you can see the loss on, like, you can feel it. Just that moment gets me every time, where they're not bearing Superman. They're not bearing Kal-El. They're bearing her son, Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like in which we should, in that universe, how it should feel for everybody who doesn't have superheroes. These are people. They have lives. And, while there's this big memorial for him in the city. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, of course, I think it was an end credit scene or something, and you see the rock start floating, and you're like, oh, maybe. Oh.
And then it cuts to black. It's like,
Yeah. And then
man.
The other one was one of the Wonder Woman movies in the beginning when she's a kid, and she does all of the training with all the other Amazonians, like all the women, all the Wonder Woman together on the island doing this training and doing the race that they're doing together, and she's doing it as a kid, and you're just like, oh, we can do it. Yeah. Those are my two big moments. Plus the one that you guys took some really good ones too. But yes.
Oh man, a moment that and this is from a comic recently. Have you guys read Dark Knights of Steel? You guys read that one?
The first issue.
I read the first one. I have the second one in my
box. But the end of the first one. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of getting you. That's, oh my god, that comic is absolutely wild. I don't know if it's a spoiler because it's like the very first one. If we talked about what happened at the end of it, it's already been out for a month. Number 2 just came out while we're recording, so it's been a while. But
so, do you want to go ahead and tell people about it then? Since
we can.
Yeah,
We'll put a big spoiler warning here. If you're reading, although I've heard so many people talking about this already, it's because it's so crazy. We're literally in that comic, number 1, Batman is Superman's half brother illegitimately. What? Are we gonna get Batman with mild Superman powers? Because that's gonna be crazy. Like we haven't really seen it yet in the comic from like what I've seen, but like, and then he dies. Dunn gets shot in the eye.
And then he dies.
It's crazy. He drops a truth bomb and then he dies. Like, that's a different type of getting you with the comic. That
Oh my gosh.
I was shocked.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us here on Space Cadets. We can't wait to see you next time. We all need to go take a moment for all of the gotcha moments that we just discussed. Especially since, you know, he died. It's been Shanice, Bean, and me, Jenna. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.